Okay, we are back once again, and this time we're going to be playing an actual game of Flames of War. We are going to have the Germans against the Soviets. We are going to keep the Clash of Steel scoring system just because we're familiar with it and we really kind of like it. So we're going to use the Clash setup from Clash of Steel in Flames of War. This is going to be our table. We got a lot of new terrain, so we kind of went nuts with the terrain. We have lots of buildings, roads. We have a square there in the middle that'll count as a giant road. We have some forests over here. We have an industrial area over there. We have a field over here and another big field over here. That's our table. We have objective 1, objective 2, and objective 3. So this is where we're at. Today we're going to be playing 125 points of Flames of War, and we are going to be using the Fortress Europe book. We're just getting into Flames of War. We thought this was a nice, even area for both sides to start with. So we will take you guys over to the armies. Okay, here's our German formation. Again, this is out of Fortress Europe. I am going to be taking a Panzer IV formation with an HQ of 2 Panzer IVs, 2 squads of 4 Panzer IVs, a squad of 4 Panzer IIIs. In formation support, I'm going to have a unit of 4 Stugs. I'm going to have a unit of Panzer Grenadiers in their half tracks. In support, I'm going to have a unit of, excuse me if I mispronounce this, Nebewerfers with a Panzer II Observer, a unit of 2 88 anti-tank guns, and a unit of 2 SDKF Zeds 231s. So that right there is, oh, and Lucky, I believe we have Lucky also. So that is 125 points worth of Germans. All right, over to the Soviets, and we'll see what they're bringing to town. All right, tell me what the Soviets are bringing to town.
They'd be led by a T-3045, three units of T-34s. Each has 2 85s and 2 75s. HQ for the Rifle Battalion, 2 rifle companies, each with 10 riflemen, 2 anti-tank rifles, 2 Maxims, and 1 flamethrower. Oh, and 1 Kamazar for each.
Okay.
3 for support. We got 3 KV1s, 4 76 millimeter guns. I think it is. I'm pretty sure just 76s.
Yeah, I think they're 76.
Yeah.
Yeah, 76s. Yep. And then
got 3 T-70s, 6 PPSHs who will be riding in M3 transports, and 4 Katyushas.
4 Katyushas. That is a lot of people for 125 points.
This stuff is cheap.
Yeah. All right. All right. We will go ahead and deploy, and we'll see you guys after deployment. All right, here we are. We are all deployed. Over on the German side, I've got my Panzer II Observer, my Nebewerfers, unit of Panzer IVs, my HQ. I've got another unit of Panzer IVs. I've got my Panzer Grenadiers over here, my 88s, my Panzer IIIs. I've got my 231s. And my Stugs hanging out over here. Over on the Russian side, all right, you're going to have to count down or go down what's on the Russians.
Got the T-34s, the 1st Infantry Company, the Katyushas, the T-70s, KV-1s, T-34s with the commander with the Rifle Battalion's HQ riding with him. The 76 millimeter artillery, the half tracks with the PPSHs in them, more T-34s in the second rifle company.
Okay. There we go. We're all set up. As for me, I think my strategy is going to try and hopefully I can range in and get some shots into those rifle companies with my Nebelwerfers and whittle down all that infantry. Biggest thing that I'm scratching my head at is those KV-1s. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do against them. Hopefully they can roll into my 88 sites, but we'll see. You got any plans or strategies?
I think I'm just gonna move in, try to get my objectives, and maybe my reconnaissance team can quickly get in on the first objective.
Okay. All right. We will roll for first turn, and then we will bring you guys after the end of turn 1. All right, the Soviets went first at the end of Soviet turn 1. All their forces moved up. The PPSH guys came in and captured this objective. They bailed out one of these guys, but they remounted. Both the 76 millimeter guns and the Katyushas ranged into this field. So that's going to be a place we're going to have to get out of there. Luckily, they didn't do any damage this turn, but we are going to have to get the hell out of Dodge there. So that's looking pretty nasty. The Soviets are going to be up by 3 points because they captured the center objective. Though right now, currently the objective marker on that means we can only score points off of this objective after turn 6. But seeing how we're on turn 1, that's not really going to be a big deal. So that's where we sit. Just a reminder, we are using the Clash of Steel point scoring system on here. So that also means we are using the Clash of Steel tactics cards so that maybe we can swap out those objectives. Because we're just having fun, trying to learn the rules of Flames of War, and just have some fun with the game. All right, so we're going to go over to German turn 1. Okay, this is where we sit at the end of German turn 1. The Stugs successfully blitzed up to here and took out 2 of those T-34s. The Panzer IIIs, they failed their blitz, and they tried to finish off the T-34s with these 2 and didn't do anything. These guys shot over here at the T-70s and actually managed to destroy one. Over here, the 88s took out another T-70. You can kind of see that over there. My Panzer Grenadiers got out of their half tracks, moved up to here, and then did a shoot and scoot over to there. These guys, they moved up. They failed a blitz, and they tried to shoot at the PPSH half tracks and completely whiffed. My Panzer IVs, they successfully blitzed to here, bounced some shells off those KV-1s, and then did a shoot and scoot back to where you see them. My commander, he did a blitz, moved out, bounced some shells off of those T-34s, and then they failed their shoot and scoot. These guys popped out of the woods, took out those T-34s and bailed one out. And then did a successful shoot and scoot back through. My Panzer II observer moved around, spotted for the Nebs, and then the Nebs actually managed to take out one whole base, but they are ranged in now. And then the Panzer II did a shoot and scoot back to his hiding hole. So that is where it is. The Germans did score this objective here, and the Soviets scored that objective again. So it is sitting at 3 points to 6 in favor of the Soviets. And we are going to move over to Soviet turn 2. Okay, here we are at the end of Soviet turn 2, and quite a good turn for the Soviets. The company came up here and contested this objective with the Pumas. The Petrads couldn't shake the. I'm sorry, not Pumas. 231s. The Petrads couldn't shake them. The T-34s over there did bail out one of my Panzer IIIs. Moving over here, the 50 cals on the half tracks had bailed out one of my what are they? One of my half tracks, but then the KV-1s destroyed three of them. The PPSH teams got out and are holding that objective. The T-34s here destroyed my HQ. Over here, these T-34s tried to shoot at my Nebs, but couldn't do anything. And both the Katyushas and the Soviet artillery in the back came up with nothing. But the Soviets now control 1, 2 objectives, and we are contesting this one. So the Soviets are now up to 16 points this turn, to the Germans 4. So we will carry on to German turn 2 and see what we can accomplish here. All right, not looking too bad at the end of German turn 2. The Stugs over here failed their blitz, so they just fired off their machine guns into the rifle company there. These guys also fired off their machine guns, and the Lone Panzer III over here, he fired off his machine guns. No, I'm sorry. He destroyed one of the T-34s. That's right. But of all the machine gun shots that went into them, we could only get 7 hits, so we couldn't pin them this turn. Over here, these Panzer IIIs, they threw their shots in. That's right. So out of 3 squads throwing shots in, we couldn't get 8 hits. Very sad, very sad. The 88s managed to finish off the T-70s, which scored us another 3 points for taking out a unit. My Panzer IVs back here, they failed a blitz and then just bounced some shells off of those KV-1s. My infantry came up into the center of town and took out 4 bases of the PPSHs. They were pinned, but they managed to rally, and so we're both contesting this objective. Moving down here, my Panzers here blitzed through the woods, fired, took out another T-34 and bailed out that guy who didn't remount, and then they did a shoot and scoot back through the woods, but unfortunately that guy failed his cross test. The Panzer II Observer blitzed up to spot, and then he did a shoot and scoot back to here. The Nebelwolfers, they managed to take out 1 base of those guys there, and they are pinned. So that is where we stand. All 3 objectives are contested because of the little Panzer II, the infantry in the middle of the town, and the 231s over here. So the Germans are up to a score of 10-19 for the Soviets. So we are moving into Soviet turn 3. And right now the Germans have 1 Panzer III that's currently bailed out and 1 half-track that's still bailed out. They couldn't remount. So that is where we sit. Still lots of carnage left to go. So we will see you guys after Soviet turn 3. All right, this is where things sit at the end of Soviet turn 1. The infantry company or rifle company over here between the Petrads and the flamethrowers destroyed the unit of 231s. The Panzer, or not Panzer, T-34 over there, he bounced some shells off my Panzer IIIs. The Katyushas took out one of my 88s. The heavy machine guns from the half-tracks took out my infantry. The, what are these guys? T-34s. Oh, no, the commander in the T-34 back there. He took out my last half-track. The KV-1s bounced some shells off of my Panzer IVs. The 76s back there ranged in front of the Panzer IVs, so they're not going to stay there very long. These T-34s didn't really do a whole lot. This guy is still bailed out. And these guys tried to shoot at the Panzer II hiding back there, but they failed to do so. The Soviets now contest this one. They control the center objective and they control this objective. So they are up to 31 points to 11 for the Germans. So we are down by 20. Ouch. We'll see what we can do in German turn 3, and we'll catch you guys back up. All right, Germans are striking back a little bit at the end of turn 3. Thanks to our Panzer II, our Nebs re-ranged into over here and took out 4 bases of those guys, though they did manage to unpin at the end of the turn. So we're contesting that objective there. Over here, these guys, Panzer IVs blitzed through the woods. One took out that last T-34 there. The other 3 took out 2 of these T-34s. And then this squad moved over here and finished them off. So we got 6 points there for taking out those 2 squads. Over here, our 88, I believe, contributed to that mess over there. Over here, the Stugs and these 2 Panzer IIIs fired machine guns into those guys. They did pin them down, but they unpinned at the end of the turn. And the Panzer III commander is trading shots back and forth with the T-34 commander. So that is where things sit right now. The Germans are up to 19 points. How many for the Soviets?
37.
37. So not looking too bad. We're still behind, but I still think the game is going very well as we head into turn 4. We'll bring you guys back after Soviet turn 4. Soviets are still holding strong at the end of turn 4. This T-34 commander took out a Panzer III. My commander had to run over to this tank, so I've only got 2 of those left. One of the Stugs got bailed out because of the flamethrowers, but we're still contesting that objective. Over here, the KV-1s are still sitting in the middle of the town square. Not sure how we're going to shift them. The Soviet 76s have re-ranged in over here. They've got the T-34 commander spotting for them. They didn't do anything. And then these guys tried to take a shot at the Panzer II and didn't really do anything. But the Soviets gained themselves 5 more points for contesting, holding, and contesting. So we are sitting at 21 for the Germans. And how many are you at?
42.
42, so double my points. So it's going to be an uphill battle. We'll see how close we look at the end of German turn 4. Definitely a good turn for the Germans. We managed to, the Stugs fired off into these guys and pinned them down. Over here, the Panzer IIIs blitzed and came up to here. The Panzer IVs blitzed and came up to here. These Panzer IVs blitzed and moved up to here. Both these Panzer IVs and these Panzer IIIs took the additional movement. These guys destroyed the trucks, and the teams inside had to get out. And then the Panzer IIIs machine gunned them. Over here, my 88 got off an amazing shot and took out one of those KV-1s. And then over here, we got a repeat bombardment from the Nebs onto these guys. So they're down to just a few bases and just barely holding onto that objective. These other 3 Panzer IVs, they put their machine guns into those guys also and killed off a couple of them. So doing really good at trying to eliminate them. I don't think I'm going to be able to catch up on points at this point because the Germans have 27 to how many for the Soviets? 45. So I think I may just have to try and break his formation. But we'll see how that goes because he's got 2 formations. So we will go on to Soviet turn 5 and catch back up with you guys. This is where we sit at the end of Soviet turn 5. The Soviet artillery batteries over there managed to range in on my Nebs and destroyed one. That's going to reduce some of their effectiveness. The Soviet rifle company or rifle battalion HQ moved over here to try and support these guys, but they're still pinned. Over here, the KVs managed to bail out one of my Panzer IVs. What's that? Oh, yes. The SPH guys. PPSH. I always get that wrong. The PPSH guys withdrew into the firehouse, so they're sitting up there trying to stay alive. Over here, flamethrower took out one of my Stugs, and the T-34 tried to sneak around behind us, but he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. So we'll have to try and deal with him and that giant massive infantry. So it's not looking great, but I think it's still manageable for the Germans. Right now, the Germans, all 3 objectives are contested. The Germans are sitting at 30 points to 48 for the Soviets as we head into German turn 5. So we'll catch you guys back up after that. All right, end of German turn 5. The Germans are putting everything they have into it. We did a repeat bombardment onto these guys and killed another base of these infantry guys, but they are still holding on, even though they are pinned. Over here, this lighter squad of Panzer IVs moved up, and they took out the Soviet T-34 commander hiding behind the church. These 4 guys here, they pumped their machine guns into what's left of the PPSH guys. They're pinned, but we could not shake them. And then these 2 Panzer IVs here ran around to the side. They took out one of these KV-1s and they bailed out another one. And then traveling over here, the Panzer IIIs rolled up the street and they tried to pump some machine guns into this rifle company, but couldn't really scratch them. And the Stugs rolled around to the side of this T-34, but couldn't really hurt him. Now that the T-34 formation is not in good standing, this guy did pass his last stand test. So he is there waving the red flag for that formation. The infantry formation is still rock solid. Right now, the Germans have 36 points to where the Soviets sitting?
51.
51 points. I don't think I'm going to be able to crack the Soviets, but we'll play out turn 6 just to see how it sits. All right, see you guys after Soviet turn 6. Okay, we're still at the end of Soviet turn 6. The Soviet infantry tried to come over here and flamethrower my Panzer II, but he lives. We're still contesting this objective here. The KV in the middle of the town square there tried to roll in and take on my Panzer IVs, but he couldn't hit. Apparently that just wasn't close enough for him. But now he is given my 88 a nice shot towards his back armor, if we can see through the wreckage. So that objective there is still contested. Moving over here, the infantry teams got some bailouts on the Stugs and the Panzer IIIs, but everybody remounted. So that objective is still contested. So we are going to move on to German turn 6. The Germans are up to 39 points and the Soviets have 52. So if we can actually wipe some units out, this might be a attainable victory for the Germans, but we'll have to see what happens at the end of German turn 6. But it is not lost yet. So we will bring you guys back after the end of the last turn. Oh, did just forget the Soviet artillery back there. They did manage to take out one of the Panzer IVs peeking around the trees there. So, but these guys are still in command and they still have 3 tanks left of that unit. But that was a worry one right there. All right, see you guys after the end of German turn 6. All right, this is where we sit at the end of German turn 6. Our Panzer IVs moved through the wreckage, blitzed over to here to try and machine gun this infantry HQ, but we couldn't finish them off. Over here, the 88 bailed out the KV-1 in the center of town, and then the Panzer IVs finished him off. Over here, the Stugs took out the last T-34, and the Panzer IIIs managed to gun down a couple more bases of the rifle company over here. So the Germans got some more points for taking out 2 units. We now control the objective in the center of the town, but the Soviets are holding strong, contesting that objective and contesting this objective. So at the end of the game, the Soviets are up with 56 to the Germans 50. A victory for the Soviets, but absolutely a fun game that was, even though the Soviets stayed in the lead, the Germans had the possibility of coming back the whole time. So I was really pleased with our first game of Flames of War. What would you say is your favorite unit of the match?
I don't know. It's difficult to say. I kind of like the PPSHs since if you can just get them in range, it's kind of a slaughter. I also like the infantry. They don't really have the equipment to take on high armor things, but they definitely have the means to stick around.
I think your flamethrower guys did awesome. They took out at least 2 vehicles, and they kept bailing out a couple of my Stugs.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool.
I'm definitely very pleased with Flamethrower. It flows a bit faster than Warhammer, and it's nice to have a bit more variety of units.
Yeah.
Like, I think we've talked about it a few times. It actually feels like you're commanding an army.
Yeah, absolutely. You get a much bigger force, and you get to kind of see a little bit more of the tactics of using the different types of troops together. Like you're pinning things, pinning things down with your artillery, and then you're trying to mop up with your machine guns and your infantry.
Mm-hmm.
The KV-1s were definitely a barrier for me the whole game. If it hadn't have been for the 88, I don't think I would have really been able to scratch them. I think my workhorse of the game is definitely the Panzer IVs. They went all over the place.
Yeah, it feels like no matter what they did, they just kept either my dudes didn't hit, or they just shook off their hits.
So yeah, I think the next time we get together and play some Flames of War, I have a different formation I think I want to try out, but I'm very pleased with how the Germans did. Not sure what kind of scenario we'll play, or if we'll just stick with the Clash of Steel point system just because we're familiar with it. We'll probably try and get some fantasy in over maybe the next week. I know our fantasy fans have been looking forward to another game, so we'll try and get one of those in maybe before the end of the year and get the video posted up maybe right after New Year. Anything else you want to say?
I think for the most part I'm good. I definitely think it would be nice to see my artillery do a bit more, but you didn't take as much infantry. But when I wrote this list, I had no idea what you were going with, and I thought you might have taken a bit more infantry.
Well, as a bit of a preview, I'll tell you the next list I'm going to work on is probably going to be a Panzer Grenadier platoon or Panzer Grenadier company. So you'll have a lot more infantry to shoot at. And I'll have more half tracks. Yay! All right, that's going to be it. That's going to wrap us up. Thank you all for watching.